Hello everyone, welcome to this latest live stream here of the Patriot Report with me, Peter Sweden, and Red Pill Phil is here as well. I guess obviously I think we should all talk about. I did a video on this just the other day. Europe is burning. There's been an insane amount of attacks in Europe the last few days. Well, this week, I mean, just in a few days, there was 4 terrorist attacks in the same day. I mean, that's unheard of. You know, think of back like 2 years ago. You say 4 terrorist attacks in Europe in one day. People would be like, "No, you have to be kidding." But now that's what's happening. That's what happened in here just the other day on Friday. And just a few days before, there was another terrorist attack in France. So there was 5 terrorist attacks in just 2 days in Europe. So I'll just read up quickly. So there was a stabbing. 7 people were stabbed in France. That was the first terrorist attack. Then 2 days later, there was a bomb in London that went off. 30 people injured, but no one was killed because the bomb failed to detonate properly. There was a bomb in Sweden that was stopped by the police before it did any damage. There was stabbing in France. There was some soldier got stabbed, in which is classified as a terrorist attack. And then later in the same day, there was someone shouted Allah Akbar while attacking women with a hammer. So those were all in just one day in Europe. What do you think, Phil? Is it? The thing is a bit much going on now.
Yeah, it's evident now. It's the volume of attacks and how sporadic they are. It's just a disturbing trend, and particularly as any opposition to this is still getting shouted down. I mean, how many more attacks need to happen? No one's asking for a violent revolt. People are just concerned and asking to look at an ideology. There's obviously a pattern forming, and it's just worrying just by sheer numbers, just where it's going on all over Europe, particularly what's going on in London as well, particularly how it's just affecting just your everyday people going about the business. If this ideology's got any beef for the establishment, it doesn't seem to be taken out on the establishment. It seems to be taken out on the general public, which has got nothing to do with the actual argument in hand. But certainly just worrying, mate. You just wonder at what trigger point are people going to have before they react back, as in become aware of how big the problem is and look at what they can do within themselves to actually make a difference and make the voice be heard.
Yeah, that's the thing when the politicians don't, because I'm beginning to think that Theresa May might be insane. I mean, she's not. I mean, just look at the response from after attack. You know, obviously they go out straight away. Trump was tweeting about a terrorist attack in London, calling him a loser and so on. And Theresa May was really upset. She gave him personally a phone call and shouted at Trump because he. I mean, really, and it turns out
ridiculous. I mean, if you're gonna get upset over something, get upset the fact that the bombs keep going off in our country. I mean, to me, what Donald Trump actually tweeted, it sounded like what I would call a straight shooting response. That's the kind of no-nonsense response to what he kind of seen, a reaction. He didn't use any political speak. He wasn't being a diplomat. He wasn't soft sugarcoating his words. He wasn't using double speak. He just kind of said it as it was. And if you break down every part of that tweet, every part of it is accurate. So I don't see why anyone in this country is getting upset. He didn't reveal any sensitive information. The only reference to him possibly going anywhere near that was the fact that he said Scotland Yard probably knew about it. Now, in
which
reality,
they did, because it came out just
exactly.
today. The guy, he's apparently an Iraqi orphan who came to the UK as a refugee, and I read something about him being arrested here just the other week for some offense, so they knew about him. So, yeah, I mean.
Well, I'd like to think they did know about him, Peter, because if they didn't know about him, then that makes it even worse. I mean, the general public in Europe and globally now are giving up their liberties in the name of security. Now, the security is not working. We're being convinced that this bit of technology, although you've got to give up your rights in this way, it will help you in this way. And we're being shown time and time again that it's not working. Things are still being allowed to be said, whereas any opposition to it is not being allowed. You know, you've got kind of all kinds of acts going on, acid attacks, stabbings, bombings, shootings. You know, we've got all restrictions on weapons that we can carry as a, you know, as a human being, as a citizen in these lands. But yet these people who are undocumented, maybe not, maybe they're homegrown. It doesn't make it any better. That doesn't give the left any argument. The fact that it's there and it's still apparent, it's worrying. So like I say, the sheer numbers, it's just common sense that people should be worried now. But like you said in your video, at the same time, divide and conquer thing. You can be quick to just run and react to what's going on. But at the same time, we've got to be realistic. Who's causing this? You know, the Islam is a pawn within the game. Now, it's the players of the game that we need to start. I think we kind of know that already, but that's where we need to kind of, you know, be working towards breaking down rather than just reacting to the game that they're playing.
Yeah, no, it's as I said, Islam isn't the root problem. It's a pawn for the globalists to use, just as feminism and the LGBT lobby and all of this is a pawn for the globalists to use to try and destroy the West. Because I kind of get the feeling that our leaders, our politicians, they are. Well, you kind of almost get the feeling that they are deliberately trying to destroy the West. Because what they're doing is it just boggles the mind, the stupidity of what they're doing, if they were trying to actually solve the problem. Now, if they were not actually trying to solve the problem, if they're actually just trying to make the problem worse, then it all makes perfectly sense what they're doing. That's definitely my take on it. And you know, look, I mean, think of this. There's been before this attack, there was 3 terror attacks in the UK this year so far. Then what? And there's 23,000 jihadists roaming freely on the streets in the UK. They can't arrest them because they haven't done anything criminal yet, but they are 23,000 of them. So what does the UK do? Well, they go and arrest 4 Nazis.
I know. Well, we can see straight through it, Peter. You know, the agenda is being allowed to play out, and arresting the 4 Nazis or the 4 guys that have got extremist views on far right, you can see it fits that agenda in order to demonize anyone who's got any opposition to radical Islam. Meanwhile, they're demonizing, but they're still allowing undocumented people in the country of military age. You know, I mean, there's 2 chaps that are under detention. I think one's 18, one's 21. And I don't know whether it's accurate that they were both staying at the same foster home. And these foster parents had took, you know, refugees in the past. And I'm not saying they're to blame because I don't know enough details, but that's just one scenario. There'll be foster homes all over the place. There'll be houses, shelters all over the place that will be housing young kids, military-age kids, military-age men, you know, that may be undocumented, may be documented as kids when they're clearly not. And that is it. Added with the press not really acknowledging this, not wanting any opposition as well. That's what makes it really suspicious. We know that the government's willful. We know that they're making mistake after mistake. They don't seem to apologise for it. They seem to be doubling down on it. Now, why isn't more of the press picking on that instead of siding with them and quelling anyone who's got any desire to kind of, you know, work as an obstruction against this? That's what doubly makes me think we're being had, we're being hoodwinked.
Yeah, I mean, just like, and it's just like 1 week after they arrested these 4 Nazis, and I mean, they never committed any terrorist attack or attacked anyone, but then just 1 week after that, there's another terrorist attack from a Muslim who put a bomb on a train on the tube. That just comes 1 week after that. I mean, hello, and
the headline. I was just going to say. I mean, the article I read in regards to the 4 soldiers, they were quick to tell you where they're from, who they are. Now, after this attack in London, told you his age. They wouldn't tell you anything else.
Well, they actually
because they don't want you to form a picture.
A CCTV photo of the guy, but they never released it to the public, the police.
Yeah.
That's
there
stupid.
You go. Well, it's not stupid, Peter. That's the point. It's not stupid. What they're doing is withholding. They know that there's so many pieces of this jigsaw. If they release it, we'll get the actual jigsaw. We'll see it. So they're kind of trying to muddy the waters as much as they can, and they try to keep bits of information away from us as much as they can, because we're already getting it with what's exposed. You know, with the sheer opposition that we're getting, it doesn't make sense. Being called a Nazi in the street when you've done nothing wrong. I'm talking about, you know, me personally joining the march. I'm not talking about these 4 chaps. When you're being called a Nazi and you're walking peacefully and you have no malice in your thought, you only have concerns as to the incoming attack on your land, you know, not by a generally sweeping, you know, Muslim population, but a considerable amount of people within that faith has got nefarious wishes against us. So for us, suppose an opposition and peacefully march in the street whilst you've got your own country people calling you a Nazi, calling you a hater, that shows you how upside down we are. And it just does not make any sense at all. So I think the time is gone now where we kind of stop saying that, oh, the press are stupid, they're incompetent. They're not incompetent. They are very competent, although they're not away with it. People are reading into it like yourselves, exposing every day what they're doing.
Are very competent in destroying through the back door. They're very competent on doing that.
And it's working. I mean, it's getting the average person that's not really politically, you know, illiterate, doesn't really want to know, is too busy on their own little path on the nice little frilly things in life. They're being bought into this narrative, and that is creating the opposition. So the divide and conquer thing has erupted again. It's not only against the Muslims now, it's against your next door neighbour who thinks you're a racist just because you actually want to save his daughter's life as well as yours. So it's like a double-edged sword, and they're doing it really well. They're twisting that narrative really well, where they're getting people, you know, family members that are no longer talking to each other because you're deciding you want to go to a march. People losing their jobs because you're deciding you want to go to a march. They've not done anything wrong.
Yeah,
you know, they've not.
Divide and conquer tactic that they're using. I mean, I mean, I just look,
brilliantly.
I was just in the news here the other day as well. The same day as the terrorist attack in London, it's actually come out now that there's a new nationalist group in Scotland called Scottish Dawn. They call themselves identitarians. Now, they're not affiliated with Generation Identitaire and Martin Sellner in Germany and Austria and France. They're not affiliated with them, but they say that they are identitarians as ideology. So that they don't call themselves Nazis. As the other group that was banned before. There was this Natural Action Group that was classified as a terrorist organization, even though they'd never done a terrorist attack, but they had the wrong ideology, so they got banned. And now they're actually going to ban this other more moderate group in Scotland as well. So now they're going after the more moderate people. So now you see it's a slippery slope. I predicted that this would happen, this slippery slope, but they're now going after the more moderate ones. And you can bet that after they've gone after, you know, in 5 years' time, they're going to come after even more moderate people like me and maybe you as well. You know, Paul Joseph Watson, Kaylin from.
As soon as it becomes, yeah, exactly. It doesn't end. I mean, people have got to understand that if you do go down that line, nobody's safe. Nobody at all. Soon as they get
anyone to the right of Stalin is a Nazi.
Yeah, well, if you can make it legitimate to quell people's speech under political correctness, under hate speech, and you can physically shut people down when no one's broke the law, you know, like I say, I was brought up, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. So words will never hurt me. You know, so it doesn't bother me, anyone's ideology, as long as they're not trying to incite any violence against any group. You're entitled to your say, even if I don't like it, because you might not like what I've got to say either. But I want you to respect the right for me to have my say. So by, you know, very nature, I'm going to respect your right. Now, I think a lot of this is stemming, again, it's the divide and conquer thing, because you've got with the influx now of immigrants from everywhere, whether African countries, Middle Eastern countries. If that was done in a sensible way, according to your landmass, your population, your jobs, this, that, and the other, how many of your own people, are flourishing financially. So, you know, we all need immigration to a certain degree, but if it was kept to a reasonable level as opposed to that landmass, then maybe these people who now go in and join in fringe groups to maintain their own culture, maybe they wouldn't have felt that harsh, or they wouldn't have been pushed towards that ideology as much if they didn't see the deterioration of their own land, if they didn't see it being raided, migration.
Well, the thing that's happening is when the politicians don't do anything like this, people turn to the more extreme options because that's the only solution that they see. You
Exactly.
know,
But
like,
then
it's like the only solution. It's like the only solution that's being put forward is that you'd have to choose communism, Islam, or fascism. You know, and then most people are. I think a lot of people are going to choose fascism, actually, if you get just those three options.
Well, it's a war is peace and peace is war, and it's a double speak, isn't it? You know, it's a slippery slope. It's very Orwellian, and we've got to know that lefties have got to understand that the society we are in, we've probably never been in a more tolerant society. So to say to people who are concerned about the future as them being haters and racist and bigots is totally misunderstood, totally misunderstood. And they are more than part of the problem. I mean, to say that people who've got concerns are part of the problem, no, not at all, because the data, the stats say quite clearly that the people that are now posing the opposing voice have got genuine concerns. You know, radical Islam is a problem. We all know that.
Well, I mean, you said that we are living in the most tolerant society. Actually, I saw something interesting today regarding that. Theresa May apparently has some report coming out here in the coming weeks, which they say are going to be a game changer, where they are looking into so-called systematic racism, institutionalized racism everywhere in the UK, apparently, in the police force, in the government, in the prison system even, and everything, even the mental health care system, because apparently black people and minority groups are overrepresented in mental health institutions for some, more than white people. So they say that, okay, well, that's racism, the reason that these people are here. So we are going to bring that number down. So we're just going to like kick out like a bunch of these people in the mental health institutions of black people, so that they can, because they're just here because of racism. So we just have to put them back into society and just stop the medication, everything, and so you get the number down to the proportionate level, proportionate of the population, and it's like, hello, that's just completely stupid.
Like, so you're literally letting loonies out the loony bin, regardless of the skin tone. It's like you're just going to open the door just because we need to balance the books.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I think it was something that I believe they said this black and ethnic minority is something like 14% in the UK, but that number of those guys that are in mental health institutions are at 33 or 35%, something like that. So they have to let a bunch of these guys out of the loony bins to even the number out. So that's gonna work well. That's gonna work good.
Peter, if you're mad, you're mad. I mean, you deserve to be in there. If you've got the golden ticket, then there's no revoking that golden ticket. You've got to go through the normal protocol in order to get back out, surely.
Well, it's just the institutionalized racism. That's the reason. That's why you are there.
It's causing it.
The doctor is racist, so that's why he said you need to be on medication.
I mean, it's a crazy. We had this so many years ago under political correctness. You found that council offices had to have a certain amount that were minorities, a certain amount with this, a certain amount with that, which I agree with the ethos of it. But at the same time, if you've got one job and you've got 100 applicants, you can only look at the best person for that job is the person who's got the best, accreditation and the best CV and who can do that job. Skin color should not be an issue, whether it be pro and against me or my, I don't want to get no job because I'm black. I want to get the job because I've come across well in my interview, and the person who's interviewing me is seeing me as someone who maybe you can do the job, regardless of my skin color.
That's what makes sense. It's
just like if I was to do something wrong in that job, I expect to be kind of told off like anyone else, not, oh, well, I better not say it in such a tone because that could be regarded as a microaggression because I'm speaking to a minority, or, the other way around. Once you can't use them figures for that. You just can't. It's got to be natural.
Another figure they were upset at, apparently, I think they talked about, this is relating to it, this David Lammy, MP guy, came out with a report here recently that the ethnic minority groups are overrepresented in prison. So they need to do something to basically not send us to prison or something. And that's all relating into this new report that Theresa May is going to look into. They're going to do like big changes. This is coming up the next coming weeks. So it's going to be very interesting to see what actually happens here.
Well, I mean, that report is just sounding like you just want to redefine everything. If you're going to redefine everything, then in a way it's totally inaccurate.
And if you actually look at the statistics, the rate that the black people were convicted they were actually more lenient on black people, the jurors, than white people. So they actually got convicted less times than white people. But overall, there were more of them in prison. So, but that's still racism because they're more in prison. Even though they get less conviction rates than white people, it's still racist because there's more of them in prison.
Well, if you've done a crime, you've done a crime. And I think, regardless of your skin color, it's like, that should be it. And it is a slippery slope that we've got to be careful about, because you know it's going to be inaccurate when you're using figures like that. Or, well, you know, imagine we've got two more spaces in the loony bin. Oh, but we can't. We've got enough of the minorities in there now, so no, we can't put any more in there now. Oh, right, we'll have to let you go. I'm sorry, mate. You just go off. And then for whatever reason, he gets himself injured, or he causes a problem on a motorway, just walks into the road in the motorway, jumps off a bridge, or, you know, causes someone else some harm. Are them quotas going to be to blame, or is someone else going to be to blame for that? You know, so whoever's decided on how to do this, they've got to think carefully on what they're doing. For me, they're opening the gates, literally opening the gates.
Yeah, no, it's completely stupid because of political correctness. That's what it leads to. Like, now in Sweden, there's been some interesting stuff happening. Polygamy is illegal in Sweden, but the Swedish government, the state, they bought. There's a guy, a man. I think he's 57 years old. He's got 3 wives, 40 and 42 and 40, I believe they were. So the Swedish government, on taxpayers' money, they go and buy 3 houses for this guy and his 3 wives, for a total cost of $1.75 million on taxpayers' money for this guy and his 3 wives. You know, I've been living in Sweden, and I never got a free house. I never even got 1 free house. This guy gets 3 free houses on taxpayers' money. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, I at least want 1 free house here. I mean, what's going on?
I think he's bought the golden ticket, mate. I think he's the luckiest man in the world, because if he can get away with that, and he's getting taxpayers to pay for it, I don't know what he's done in order to get that, but I want in. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of sounds good.
I mean, think about it. He's not got the 3 wives in one house. He's got them in 3 separate houses.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe it's a clever move. No, I mean, it's joking aside. It's disgusting. It's taking a mick, isn't it? Absolutely taking a mick out of the system. And you've got hard-working taxpayers, and then you've got, you know, serial weirdos like this that just, you know, he's taking the word matrimony to the nth degree, literally.
Well, I mean,
that would be weird.
Well, I mean, Sweden is just completely gone at this point. I mean, just look at. I was actually out here just recently in Sweden. There was the Swedish government, social workers, they in one part in a no-go zone in Gothenburg, they are having conversations and therapy with returning ISIS fighters to integrate them back into society.
Poor things.
I think it
must be awful.
I think they should. I mean, I think they should get prison instead. I mean, isn't that a bit?
Well, what, mate? They're certainly not going to put them in the loony bin, because the figures are up on minorities, so they ain't going to put them there. So the only other thing to do is to use your taxpayers' money and buy them a house, and encourage them to send over all the wives, because we'll buy them a house as well.
Yeah,
Peter, come on. You've got to see it from their angle. They've spent 6 to 8 months in the Middle East beheading people and just doing atrocious things and so you've got to give them a break.
Yeah,
they've got to have a weekend home.
They might get PTSD. It's traumatizing to behead people and seeing all the blood. They might.
It's got to play with their psyche, mate. So they've got to have their own dwellings, and you can't expect them to work because they're psychologically affected. Yeah. You know, all these videos that they keep shooting, it must really psychologically affect them. Never mind the people who they're doing it to and the people who they're promoting it against. Nothing to do with that. No, we should do it. I think we should crowdfund more projects like this, where we can bring them all in and just help them out, mate. Because I really do feel for them. I feel for them. I don't feel for us. We are guilty and we deserve everything we get. Bring them in. Let them have the wives. I'm a decorator. I'll even decorate the houses.
Well, I mean,
if they can provide the paint.
Well, I mean, I think Sweden is already giving their vibes away. I mean, they are now turning to having a little bit of trigger warning here, maybe, before I put this picture up, but it's coming up on screen now. Yeah, because this is what Swedish men are doing.
Lovely boy. Lovely boy.
This is Matthias. He has sex with the forest. He says, I see it as God says yes. You get to sex with nature, he says. So they're just leaving their wives at home and just going out into nature.
Find your tree and make love to it. I mean, what's going on? You know, I've always thought when you get that oozy stuff that kind of comes out of trees, I thought that was resin and sap. I'm now thinking, is that some other kind of residue that I don't know of? So I'm certainly going to be wary when I wander out in the forest now, and I kind of want to take my family on a picnic, and I want to just, as I'm putting the blanket down, I see, okay, let's just move along over here, guys, you know, just find some blongies or just romancing with a furry rock. I just... Whoa, well, you know, when you see things like this, it just does make you think that no wonder people see the West as loonies. Well, what's he on? Why is he falling in love with the woods? What's going on with that?
I don't know.
What's going on with that? I mean, I don't mind naturism, and wherever you may be, let the wind blow free. I'm all for that, but literally, I've never actually had any kind of erotic feelings towards foliage as I'm walking in the wild. I've just not. So I don't see the logic with it at all. So,
no,
you know, but he would get in the mental institution because he's white. So they'll have room for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think people like
him
him
a few trees in his padded cell.
He should be put into mental institution. That's for sure. I mean, is it? Yeah, maybe it's no
liberalism, mate.
I mean, I don't know what to say really. I mean, it's. I mean,
mental illness.
And considering actually this, I'll show you this as well. Have you seen this before? This is a leaflet that that a Swedish government-funded organization hands out to migrants in Sweden, newly arrived migrants. I don't know if you can see it. I've censored the photos here quite heavily, but I don't know. I don't. This first picture here that they have is some black guy. This is a man, by the way, or a transgender or whatever. This person has a thing here graphically into this, which is a woman, I believe.
Right.
Then you have, well, well, two men. Then you have these are also two men or transgender. It has a male genitalia, at least. This person here is, and then you have, well, you got to have the handicapped person as well. Two men. Yeah. This is actually a real leaflet that the Swedish government, a Swedish government-funded organization in Sweden is handing out to newly arrived migrants. It's actually a real leaflet. It's I mean,
it does look like satire, doesn't it? It does look like a joke. And you think to yourself, what are people, if foreign people were coming over anyway?
And they're coming in and seeing this, and they're like, okay, well, maybe, I don't know, is it really a wonder that they are raping people when they see this kind of stuff? I mean...
Exactly. What are you doing? You might as well just be advertising it. You know what I mean? Saying on a Monday night you can do this, on a Tuesday night you can do this, on a Wednesday night you can do this. It's like... It's disturbing.
Anna in the live chat is asking, was that diagram promoting sodomy in a wheelchair? Yeah, that's what they were doing.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, total. You know, and kind of bit of a sexual perversion there with a transgender kind of element to it as well.
I had one male there, and he was sticking his thing into a transgender male as well, who was sticking his thing into a lesbian woman or something.
I mean, it's kind of degeneracy, really.
I mean,
I couldn't show that to my kid, and even if I was teaching my kid, the birds and the bees, as it were, I'm not going to show her that leaflet. That leaflet's not going to help in any way. That's probably going to never want her to kind of be intimate with anyone ever again, because that looks like a horror story.
Well, I mean,
it's like, what's going on that top image?
Well, I can tell you something I personally saw in Sweden. There's during this Pride festival I had in Sweden. I was on the subway in Stockholm, and they had advertisement for the Pride thing. So they had some cartoons very similar to that I showed on the photo there, on the picture there, and they had two people rubbing their penises together. Explicitly on the subway as an advertisement, and it said there reason number 39 for being gay. You always have someone to F.
It's what's that saying to someone who just wants to live as a nice nucleus and live the right moral message and code? And if they're seeing that just is just saying Rome is here again, and it won't be long before you can marry your horse, because every level is just being allowed. It's crazy. It's insane. And it's just allowing the younger generation to kind of open their sexuality as well, because it's allowing it, instead of saying to them, do things in the right way. And
they actually had the Pride, this Pride in Sweden this year. They actually had, I think it was, I saw the program they had. So it was before the actual parade itself, they actually had a dedicated several hours for Pride kids. So I had kids up to, I think it was, I think it was up to 12 years old. Up to 12 years old. So you can have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds there. Completely fine. Pride kids. Just.
See, that's abuse.
Yeah,
child abuse.
I'm getting my pedophilia meter is going off here on this thing. Really. I mean.
Well, yeah. Well, this is it. Because if you can allow them to change the gender, then all of a sudden they become sexualized. Once they become sexualized, then you're just 2 steps away from open pedophilia, because you've sexualized them. They're not. From when I was growing up, it was a taboo until you were at least 16.
Well, I mean,
then you
I've been trying to normalize pedophilia. There was actually an article out from the BBC just here recently. See if I can find it. Here it is. There's an article from BBC here just the other day. The young pedophiles who say they don't abuse children, and then further down in let me see if I can find it. Further down in the article, it says that some pedophiles say they would never abuse children, but what support is there for people like this, and how should society treat them? And then further down, they have this professor expert talking about how, and he says that pedophilia is a condition like depression or ADHD.
See, when you normalize that,
and then the BBC is spinning saying the young pedophiles who say they don't abuse children, it's just a condition. It's just like ADHD, and soon it's just going to be another thing, just like being gay or lesbian. That's what they're pushing for. That's what they're doing.
But Peter, it's hardly surprising that the BBC, of all people, are apologists for paedophilia. I mean, look at the way they masked Jimmy Savile, and what went on there. And the fact that it's pretty much national security now, because you just can't really go there on this subject anymore. but BBC was at the heart of it. There were so many celebrities at the time when they were asked, when it come out about Jimmy Savile, they all played the same card. Oh, I never knew he was like that, as far as I was concerned. And of course, you know, actors know, we all talk about, oh, you seen what he was doing? Oh, and we all know about the different parties and things that go on with elites and stars, so they would have known more than they actually let on, but they just let it carry on.
Yeah, obviously.
You know, so it's hardly surprising that the BBC then go on to do that. I mean, they've got an agenda of breaking down and programming civilization anyway in their, you know, their programs, really. And it's sick. It's sick that I've got to pay a license for these guys.
Yeah, it's absolutely stupid. I mean, yeah, I think going on, we are nearing 45 minutes here now, I think. How about, I just want to maybe go into the last thing I want to talk about, this Antifa guy in America. So we had this guy here, Tucker Carlson interviewed this professor who is an Antifa. He's a member of Antifa, and well, it's, I mean,
what's going on there? He's had a neck transplant, hasn't he? He's like a trans neck lint or something. I mean, what do you call that? I mean, that is just a.
And it was
weird. How can you take someone seriously when his neck's almost as long as his torso?
I found this comment on YouTube. He can drink milk and it would expire before it reaches his stomach.
That's very true. Very true. I mean, if he ever gets something stuck down his throat, I mean, you're not going to be able to stick your hand down there, because you're going to have to probably tie a rope down and then put on a little mine lamp and get down there. Maybe 3 days later, you may be able to work yourself back to the surface. But my word,
it's gonna be like, it's like a cave. You know, like that.
That is some deep cavern there, mate.
Cave exploration.
Echo. Oh yeah. I mean, you can see Tucker Carlson's face there. I wonder what he's thinking. He's thinking, my word. I'm sure Tucker could do with a bit more neck. You know, if we're looking at it, Tucker's kind of not. He's looking like his could do with a bit more neck, and he obviously could do with a little less neck. So maybe Tucker's a bit jealous at this point. His own neck is where.
It kind of looks like, have you seen these people in Africa, the tribes that have these metal rings on their necks?
Yeah. He looks like he's just took them off for the show, doesn't he? Yeah. And he's got lovely hair as well. I mean, I've got to say that is some nice style he's sporting there.
Yeah, well, anyway, this guy is Antifa, and he's a professor at a university, and it was found out. He was on there talking about free speech, how people like Richard Spencer or Milo or Ann Coulter or Ben Shapiro, how he thinks it's okay to punch them because apparently their speech is violent. So he has to punch them in self-defense before they can punch him because his speech is violent. That's basically what he was trying to say.
He's a professor.
Yes,
so he's going to spread that mantra to younger generations in order to move forward in a positive way.
He's a professor at I think it's a law, criminal justice law university as well. So he's actually teaching police officers, and he actually had a tweet after he was on the show. People went to his Twitter and found an old tweet of him where he was calling for cops to be killed. So he's now been put on leave actually after big pressure on the university. Yeah, but I have no doubt
he's militant.
He's probably going to be reinstated. You know, give it a couple of months, and he's probably going to be reinstated.
He's on the right side. He's fulfilling the left agenda. I mean, the fact that he's with Antifa, so to be speaking on the behalf of people like me, apparently.
Well, anyone who's part of Antifa shouldn't be allowed to teach anyone.
Oh, not at all, because they're pretty much a terrorist organization anyway.
Oh, they are.
They are, so it goes without saying. It's the ideology, and these are the young people that are going forward and spreading their kind of weathermen ideology. They're just spreading communist ideology, and they're just being a total contaminant in the system, really. And from that is more divide and conquer that's invoking, because people are fighting back from it, when in reality, you just need to yank people like that and their ideologies out, because it's communistic. Yeah. It's been going on for 40, 50 years. People, young students doing things like that.
Yeah, no, that's what they've been doing. They've been using people like him now for a long time in the universities to push cultural Marxism, to basically poison society until we are at the point we are today. So I mean, we had to stop those people from poisoning the minds of the youths. That's important.
And maybe someone tried to stop him, Peter. Maybe he's already been put in one of them stretch machines, hence his neck being like 2 foot longer than his actual body. And maybe that's why he's so angry and he's joined Antifa, Maybe a night in the stretcher makes you think.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to take it seriously. It looks like that, to be honest. But, yeah, I think we've been going now for 50 minutes. What do you think? Should we wrap this up now so we can be a little bit on time?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be novel, mate. It's getting to be a bit of a coincidence, this us finishing on time.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. Yes, I think we'll wrap this up here then. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Leave a like, subscribe if you've done so, and share this video with your friends. And make sure to tune in next time on Thursday, 8 p.m, where we'll be back. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys.